everyone. My name is Erin and I am a Missouri State University dietetic intern. What I have for you today are sweet seed protein bars. So welcome to Healthy Snacking for Your Kidneys, Bakery Edition. I'm going to show you two great recipes in this video for those times where you want a snack but you're not ready for a big meal. These recipes are great sources of protein and they don't have a lot of phosphorus, potassium, calcium, or sodium. The stuff we don't really want a lot of in our diets, especially if we're on dialysis. Well, these great recipes are good for any person. They are especially helpful for people on dialysis. Remember, if you have a phosphorus binder prescribed to you, you might want to take it if you eat this snack, according to your doctor's instructions, of course. So today we will be making the sweet seed protein bars, and then in the next segment we'll be making apple protein muffins. So the sweet seed protein bars are homemade granola bars, and each one has about 8.5 grams of protein and about 26 grams of carbohydrates, so a little under 2 carb choices. For this recipe you'll need a 9x9 baking pan, measuring cups, a sturdy stirring spoon, and a way to get that sometimes hard to get peanut butter and honey out of their jars. So that might look like a disposable knife or a knife. And you're all set. I have gloves here just for safe food preparation. And for ingredients, you'll need old-fashioned or rolled oats, peanut butter, the stir peanut butter because it does not have added phosphorus, honey, and it could be any kind. We got reduced sugar dried fruit, and then we have sliced almonds and whole flax seeds. The whole flax seeds are a great option because with the peanut butter and honey, they absorb a lot of that moisture and they become chewable, and you get a bunch of fiber from this recipe. So it's a great option. We're using a countertop oven today. It's easy for the video. You can also use a conventional oven if you'd like. You need it set at 350 degrees, and that's the first step that you'll do for this recipe. So I've already gone ahead and done that before shooting this video, turned it to 350 degrees, and so it's all set for us. Then you'll take your measuring cup, your 1 cup measuring cup, and measure out 2.5 cups of the old-fashioned or rolled oats. And this recipe makes about 12 2-ounce bars. So that was 2, and now we're doing a 1/2 cup. Okay. You'll also need a oven mitt or a hot pad. So my oven is at temperature, so what I'm going to do is grab this and get these oats into the oven. Okay. So these stovetop ovens or these countertop ovens come up to temperature very quickly, and they also have a reduced amount of time. So while we set this, it's only going to take about 3 or 4 minutes. We'll get started on these other ingredients. So next, you're going to want to mix together the whole flax seeds and sliced almonds, our reduced sugar dried fruit, our honey, and I do have a knife to help me get some of this out. You can alter the amount of honey. It's just going to add sugar and help everything stick together. But if you wanted to add more peanut butter instead of honey, just be warned, it will change the phosphorus content, but it will reduce the sugar. Okay? And then our peanut butter. So we use the stir peanut butter. It comes in a jar, so you will have to stir it. And we have creamy stir peanut butter here. And we're going to start mixing this stuff together while the oats are cooking. You want the oats golden brown. Okay. So next we stir everything together. Being mindful it's gonna look something like this, but this is the finished product. So the oats will give it substance, and you will get about 12 2-ounce bars out of this recipe. If you're attempting to control your blood sugar, flaxseed is a great source of fiber, which helps slow the impact of blood sugar levels. It's a great way to make sure that you don't have a blood sugar spike, as well as protein. So we have protein in the peanut butter and a little bit in the flax seeds. So our oats are just about getting done. I'm looking in and seeing them golden brown, and that's exactly what we want. And I'm gonna take them out right now. When the oats are taken out, I'm gonna pour them directly into my mixing bowl. Okay. Next, we stir all of the ingredients together. Okay. When you're mixing the oats in with the rest of the recipe, you will want to make sure that you're kind of grinding up the oats and the rest of these ingredients. This recipe is great if you're on a fluid restriction and you have to be really mindful about the fluid you're taking into your diet. I would say out of everything, the stirring is probably the most time-consuming part of this recipe. You really want to make sure everything is well mixed. And we're really getting a great consistency here. You can't beat toasted oats and peanut butter. We chose sliced almonds because the almonds that are whole kind of turned out really crunchy, and that might be a hard food to eat if chewing is a problem that you struggle with. So we wanted to do sliced almonds to try to be all-inclusive and provide more flavor and help you actually be able to eat the almonds in the bars. Great, okay. So I'm just gonna stir a little bit more here, and then we're gonna set it up in our warm pan. Okay, great. Show you kind of what I'm doing here. So these are the finished product. They do kind of fall apart. Just keep in mind that's okay. A serving size though is 2 ounces. So now we're putting it in our warm pan. And once everything is cool, You'll want to refrigerate this after you press it down, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like. And for the correct thickness for these bars, you'll want a 9x9 baking pan, and that's what I have here today. Okay? Looks like some delicious granola. I'll let you see that. It really is a nice looking snack. Okay, now we press it down into the pan. I'll move this over here. Okay, and now once the pan is cool, I would wait about 10-15 minutes. You want to refrigerate, you want to cover this recipe and refrigerate. And you want to wait at least 1 hour or until everything looks well set up. If you pull it out of the refrigerator before it has set up, they will be crumbly, so you can see some of them do look crumbly, some of these bars. You can shape them however you want to. You could shape them into balls, you could shape them into bars. But anyway, the next day or later that night, if you want to cut them into squares, just don't cut them while they're warm or they won't set up and they will be crumbly. This is the finished product, and it yields about 12 2-ounce servings. Thank you so much. Hello everyone, welcome back to Healthy Snacking for Your Kidneys, Bakery Edition. Again, my name is Erin. I'm a Missouri State University dietetic intern here today to show you how to make apple protein muffins. This is by far one of my favorite high protein bakery recipes of all time. Why? Because of the multiple sources of protein that go into this recipe. This recipe calls for egg whites, Greek yogurt, protein powder, a cup of milk, and even sliced almonds. It has to be one of the most high protein bakery foods you could eat. And it's a tasty muffin, also very low in nutrients that we don't need a lot of, especially if we're dialysis patients, like phosphorus, potassium, and sodium. Also, each muffin, about 3/4 cup of batter, is only around 17 grams of carbohydrates. And each muffin has about 9.5 grams of protein. So it's good on all fronts. So let's get started. First, again, I'm using the countertop oven. If you are using a conventional oven, it will take a little bit longer to come up to temperature. This countertop oven, we set at 350 degrees. It doesn't take very long to come up to temperature. And next we mix our dry ingredients. So in a mixing bowl, and you'll want a large mixing bowl for this, combine 1 cup oats, I have that right here, 3/4 cup protein powder, and I've already combined the 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and remember, baking powder does not have phosphorus. Baking soda does. So we want to keep that in mind when preparing any baked good. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. In a separate bowl, we're going to want to whisk together our wet ingredients. And I'm not going to use a whisk. It doesn't really rise or foam that much because of the Greek yogurt, so a spatula is just fine for this part of the recipe. But in this bowl, we're going to have 1 cup of milk, 3/4 cup Greek yogurt, 2 egg whites, and 2 tablespoons of honey with 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. And we're going to be careful to just mix this up. We want to make sure the Greek yogurt does mix well, but it's not gonna completely become unchunky, and that's okay. So gently mix that. Okay, and we have all of our dry ingredients in this bowl. This is the larger bowl, so that's what you're gonna wanna do at home if you're recreating this recipe. And then we pour this into the dry ingredients. Remember, don't mix the apples in just yet. We're gonna do that in the next step. The original recipe calls for diced apples, but I decided after tasting it that I would wanna grind them up. So it helps a little bit with the flavor profile and the texture. Okay? And then we stir all of our ingredients together. Still, we're not adding the apples quite yet. The recipe calls for 1 cup diced apples without skin, but it does not matter if you leave the skin on. And it's the same if you use a shredder to shred your apples. I used unflavored whey protein powder for this recipe. Okay, our oven is coming up to temperature. So we're getting this well mixed. Now is when we add the apples. So again, the original recipe calls for diced apples, but I decided to shred them. And this way, if we choose to add our apple skins, we get all of that fiber and those nutrients that are in the skin that would have been lost if we peeled the apples. This looks great. It smells when you're stirring like cinnamon and nutmeg and apples and protein powder. It's really a great aroma. Okay, that's mixed well. And like I said, instead of the 3/4 cup measuring cup to divvy this up among the muffin pan, I'm going to spoon it in. You can also use a vegetarian protein powder if you'd like a pea protein powder, something with complete protein. That's also an option for this recipe. So you are going to want to divvy this batter up among each of the muffins, and again, because there's minimal leavening agents in this recipe, it won't really rise, so they will become thick. But that's exactly what we want for these muffins. And the oats will completely soften. And if you have extra batter like I do, use a spatula. And you can spoon in the rest. Okay, and that looks just about good. And we want to use our extra towels to just make sure we wipe up the space in between our muffins. And this is just to make sure nothing burns while it's baking. So it doesn't have to be perfect, just wipe up some extra little spills. It's okay, it happens, everybody does it. Okay, so that looks good. Okay, next, we're going to top our muffins with a little bit of sliced almonds. And just like with the sweet seed protein bars, if your doctor has prescribed you a phosphorus lowering medication, you might want to take it while eating this recipe. It does have a bit of organic or natural phosphorus, but no added phosphorus. Okay. I think you would agree those look great. So now, we're going to put this tray into our oven. Okay, and we'll want to set our timer from anywhere from 26 to 28 minutes. When I made this recipe at home, they finished in about 27 minutes, so right along schedule. We'll want to bake these muffins until they're golden brown. Remove and let cool for at least 10 minutes in a pan. If we want to batch bake them or make them for future time, we'll want to freeze them. Thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Erin. I'm a dietetic intern, and this was our latest dialysis-friendly recipe. Thank you for joining us for Healthy Snacking for Your Kidneys Bakery Edition.